Yeah. So if you were to sit up there, you and like just look this direction, not look exactly at me, but if we just pretend we were we should do this next week. You would look like you're like 7 feet tall.
Listen, have you?
Elaborate moving sets too, so
Yeah.
you do camera motions and it doesn't mess with your like perspective.
Yeah.
They thought it through.
Just the camera perspective, because I don't know if you've seen that. This is not political, so don't freak yourself out.
Okay. I'm taking that.
But have y'all seen that picture of the Bidens with the Carters?
Yes.
Does that not look bizarre?
Yes.
Like the Bidens are giants and the Carters are like these little tiny people.
Really?
Have you not seen it?
No, I haven't
Well, that's
seen
what
it.
I was just asking because you were talking about that.
I'm not really into politics, so I'm just
You're talking about camera angles. It is the most bizarre looking thing you've ever seen. Have you seen it, Joseph? Yeah, there it is.
Okay,
right
so
there.
they're bringing it up here, and it is a picture.
It looks so completely out of proportion.
Oh, that really is out of whack.
Do you see it?
Yeah, brother Jimmy, poor guy.
Now, is that and that's all because of camera angle?
I mean, I don't know.
That's got to be something other than that.
Well, I mean, but we shrink as we age, don't we?
Yeah, but not that
Not that
much.
much.
You don't lose
Okay.
3 feet.
That's a
Maybe an
significant-
inch, but
That's a wow. I'll have to look at that one more closely.
They're near the edges of if they're using a really wide angle lens.
Oh, yeah, the
items
wide
are near
angle.
The edges of the picture.
Yeah.
Most wide angle
We're getting a
lenses will
seminar
start
on
that
photography
edge,
right
and
now.
So it probably is because
Tricks
they're
of the
way
wide
further out
angle
and the
lens.
camera's really close to them and really wide.
well,
Yes.
let's shoot one next week where
Let's
I
do
look
that.
like I
Yeah.
tower
No,
over.
it's gonna. We won't even talk about it. It'll just be an unspoken callback to this
Yeah.
week, where Pastor will be twice my size.
I'll be twice the size. And can we do something by hair?
Yeah,
I'll
and
have
then
a
give you a-
big loop
Yes,
over.
and I'll shave my head. Maybe we should do that. How much money?
Put one of those things that they do on television when they put a ball.
Can we go old school and like have a Dunkin' booth if we raise enough money?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want? Do you,
I've
will
done
you be
it
in?
before.
I know.
Yes, I've done it before.
That was like the
Yeah.
thing.
Let's-
Some of my earliest memories in church were going to like the church fair, and you were like trying to throw a ball and dunk the youth pastor or
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
like that.
I've done that before. I sit up there and let people throw balls at you.
Can we bring back the dunking booth? Is it still possible to rent one of those?
Oh yeah,
Really?
They're popular. Yeah.
We've got to figure that out. We got it. When's our well? What I'm going to bring that up
We
to the
do
meeting
it,
today with
$10
Jeff.
a throw.
Oh, that sounds really good.
You know, let's raise.
It's
money
inflated
for,
enough now.
Yeah, let's
people
raise
know.
money for.
$10 per throw, and we'll raise money for, I don't know, we're building another high ropes course or something like that. Well, let's get to the important stuff. Before you came in, Pastor, we were talking about the best pizza. Yes. Have you
Well, I
decided
like
yet?
mine thin. I like
really?
real thin. Yeah. Crispy. I like just keep it in there a couple extra minutes. Make that crust really crispy.
So you're okay with like a? Are you talking homemade, or you do the frozen pizza?
You know,
thing?
my sister used to make a homemade pizza that would just
Slap
knock your
grandma,
socks off. Yeah, it was just good, incredibly good.
My mom, I remember would make pizza, but she was really into like making the different veggie pizzas, which
Yeah.
for a kid that was like, anathema. I didn't want to.
Yeah, I would agree.
I wasn't.
agree.
I wasn't as into it. But then, but I can't now. These days, Pastor Josh was in here talking about the meat lovers. Are you a meat lovers pizza guy?
Listen, they had the dinner for the high school seniors last night. They had the biggest chicken breasts I have. If you saw this chicken walking out on a farm, you would have thought this is the chicken that ate Minnesota. It's the scariest looking. You're just talking about Josh and meat lovers, but pizza. But that chicken breast, I couldn't eat half
Was
of
this
it.
here at the church?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where they found those chickens from.
I
The
don't-
island of Dr. Moreau. I
I'm
believe.
doing my best not to picture it. Well, I'm so anyway. So you had to be a meat lover if you want to. Is
Yeah,
that what you're
yeah.
saying to eat it?
Yeah, but I love meat lovers pizza.
Okay. Man, I'm trying to think what my favorite would be. I don't know. It probably is something veg. I think that my mom, it worked on me because now I mostly just get veggies on the pizza. I don't really put
Do you
much
really?
meat on there. Yeah.
Well, that's ruined you.
You know, Rick
I'm
Burgess
sorry.
always
I'll need
threatens
to
to
take you
defriend me. I know.
I'll need to
That's
take you out.
usually how it comes. Every time I get we were on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and we went to this barbecue place, and I got a salad, and my wife ordered ribs. And I just sat
Something
there
is
and
way out of balance.
and I was
here.
I sat there and I was just like, I feel like something has gone wrong.
I do too.
This is a sign of the
Let's
fall.
pray.
Okay.
Golly.
Oh boy. What else we got to talk about? Yesterday was a really good day. Do you think we should recap yesterday?
Unbelievable crowds yesterday.
Yeah, we had 17 graduates. I feel like we should celebrate that. Pastor Josh has done obviously he's about to make this transition to the church at Old Town, but he's done a wonderful job. The Lord has worked through him to build this big contingent here in the student ministry. We had 17 graduates on stage yesterday.
Yeah.
And their families were all here. It was just a good day.
It was a good day. My son called me yesterday afternoon. They baptized 520 some
I saw your wife post about that. That's incredible.
They just went down to the ocean, stood them up in 8 lines. He said he baptized 50. He called me. He said, "I'm just wiped out."
Wow.
He said fighting the. Oh, he said the waves were so big and they were, knock them over. And he said I baptized one whole family. He said a mom, a dad, two daughters, and 2 grandchildren.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
So,
do they do that at the ocean like once a year? Or is that like
I
a
think
big
they
thing?
do it twice a year. Yeah.
Man, we need to build. Let's build a wave pool. That's what we're just. So we'll do the dunking, and we're gonna build the wave pool so that we can like maybe entice more people to get baptized. That's not how that works. I shouldn't say stuff like that.
Yeah. But we could build a wave pool.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
would
why
be
not?
fun.
Why it'd just be fun. We could
Have
put
you
it out
seen
there.
there's a ship, a cruise ship that has one where that they teach you how to surf, and they've got the water coming down
Yes.
the thing, and you get on there and there's some folks that can really do it.
I've seen this. And I always look at that and they're like, and it's on this cruise ship. I'm like, can't you build it on land? Like, why do I
think
have to
they've
get
got
on a
one.
cruise ship?
There's one over in Saudi Arabia, just this huge wave pool that it just makes these waves.
Saudi.
and
Have you
they're
been to
all-
Saudi Arabia before?
No, we were headed there once, but did not get. There are 2 places that I had attempted to go. One was Saudi Arabia. The other was Morocco. I've had Morocco
interesting.
on my heart for years, and have planned 3 trips that I had to cancel each time.
Well, your Greece trip got uncanceled though. It sounds like you guys are going to do that.
Yeah, we had so many additional people on the waiting list that I called over there and talked to my friend in Greece, Paul, and I said, "Paul, can we get a second bus?" And he said, "Yeah, that's possible." And so we've kind of opened that up, and I'm going to take 2 buses
That's really cool.
at this point, which is 2 buses in Greece is okay. I've taken 2.5 buses really in Israel before, and I don't like to do that. I like to just take 1 bus to Israel, which we should be praying for
Big
Israel
time, yeah.
and for the Palestinian people as well.
I wanted to ask you your thoughts on that. Like that's yet another
Well,
conflict
just-
over there.
And the beat goes on. It just flares up like this. This whole thing, if you go back, what was it, a week ago was Jerusalem Day, the day that the Jews celebrate taking the city of Jerusalem. The Palestinians had taken rocks up on the Temple Mount, which is always, when I go to Israel, I always push to take my group to the Temple Mount. And I have to almost now anymore just argue with the guide and say, we are going to go. Well, it takes too long. They just this and that and the other, and there's so much trouble.
Oh, my goodness.
It is a headache, but I really push to get up there.
Well, there's so much history just in that
There
spot.
is, just in that place. But the Palestinians up there had taken rocks up. And so on Jerusalem Day, when the Jews came to the Western Wall to pray, they just started throwing rocks down.
Oh,
at
my
them. Well,
goodness.
you got to send the IDF up there to get the Palestinians to stop throwing rocks down at the Jews. And then so it starts that way. And then it ends up with 3,000 rockets coming over as of this morning. My good friend Joel Rosenberg has been covering this on Twitter, and he's done an excellent job.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check into that.
Yeah, if you follow him on Twitter, he's excellent writer, great guy. I usually meet him at one particular restaurant in Abu Ghosh. I love the name of that.
Abu
place.
Ghosh?
Yes. Where do you live? Abu Ghosh.
Here.
They were the only Arabs that fought with Israel in all of their wars. It's the only village of Arabs that ever fought with Israel.
Now that's
through
interesting.
their wars.
Where was that? When was that?
Well, in all the wars, the 6-Day War, the War of Independence,
Some of the more recent ones.
Yeah, those wars, the 73, wasn't it 73 war? Anyway, I usually meet him there, but he's a great, if you are looking for a good source to follow inside Israel, Joel Rosenberg.
Okay, I'm gonna look him
Author,
up.
great writer, fictional writer.
A little bit of trivia, because I've been reading this textbook for this Old Testament class I'm in. I didn't realize that the name of Palestine was taken from the ancient people, the Philistines.
Yes.
Had no idea that
It was given to the land by the Romans. The Romans were fed up with the Jews after the second revolt, the Bar Kokhba revolt in 123, was it? Something like that.
It was
120
something. Yeah.
Like that. And they just went in and said, we're done with this. We're tired of these Jews. We're tired of this constant uprising over here.
Yeah.
And they just drove them out. They scattered them, really to the four corners of the earth, and went in and renamed it, called it Palestine. That's tension right there. Don't ever slip up and make the mistake. I did this in preaching at Southeastern one time, and I called it Palestine. And I had some, first semester student come up and read me the riot act because I called Israel Palestine.
Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
I do know the difference. I know where it came from, But anyway, that's what the Romans called it, and that's what it became known for 2,000 years until the Jews came back and reconstituted in 48?
We need.
47,
Well,
48?
I've got so many. Yeah, I've got so many different thoughts about this. Are you going to preach from the Old Testament after 1 Peter? Have you thought about this much?
Probably.
Okay. If
Yeah.
you
I kind of flop back over. I go back one way to the other.
I'll save my thoughts for then, because I've been learning a lot, and I just think it is so interesting, the many conflicts that the people of Israel have had. Just been reading back through 1st and 2nd Samuel, and again, you think the time of peace for Israel was just always at such a premium before
really?
if it came
Yeah.
back into some kind of conflict. But that's
look at Deuteronomy 27:28,
yes,
where God tells them, look, if you do this, I'm going to send a nation against you.
yes,
And they keep going off after these pagan gods, and God keeps his promise.
it's heartbreaking, that passage in particular, because Moses, it's sort of like Moses himself speaking then, be like, and I know that you won't follow these things because you are a stiff-necked people, and I've seen you in this way, and I'm about to die, and I know that after I die you're still going to do, and it's just like, oh man, the labor.
He goes to Mount Gerizim, and when they come into the land, they go to Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. And they read on Mount Gerizim all the blessings that'll be theirs if they'll be obedient. And they go to Mount Ebal, and from Mount Ebal, they read all the cursing. Well, the interesting thing is this, is when you go there and you look, and here's Mount Gerizim and here's Mount Ebal. Mount Gerizim is just covered with this luscious forest.
Yes.
Mount Ebal is nothing
Barren.
but rock,
Yeah.
barren rock. So you get a dramatic, I don't know any other way God could say, how can it be any clearer to you than this, Anyway, Old Testament's great. I love it.
Yeah,
I wish I was the Hebrew scholar you are.
We all not all of us can be, Pastor. We're all
Well,
given
you're right.
Romans.
You did do better in Hebrew than I did.
Romans
I can
12:3.
promise
We're
you
all
that.
given different measures of faith and skill, and you'll get there one of these days when you finally completed your PhD.
so.
Yesterday, Brody was talking about how he's working on his PhD, which I thought was particularly bold of him since he doesn't even have a bachelor's yet. But he's just
jumped ahead.
He's just leap.
He just lightning. We call him Einstein around
He's
here.
the Karate Kid. Wow. We've got another new studio audience member. Pierce is here. Pierce Moffett. Have you met Pierce
No,
yet?
I have not.
Okay, so he's our, yes.
Moffett. You know the Moffett translation? Have you never heard of the Moffett translation?
Of the Bible?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What was his first name? Moffat's first name. Huh? Pierce? Not Pierce.
He's Pierce.
This is Pierce.
I'll look this up.
Yeah. Have you never heard of the Moffett translation either?
I can't say that I have, but I'm looking it up right now.
My word. What are they teaching you?
Moffett translation of the Bible.
Yeah.
Let's see what Google. Oh, it's Moffat. It's an A instead of an E. He's E-T-T.
Well, that's probably the English spelling of it. Because Moffat was British. Mm-hmm. And was quite the theologian. Yeah. Yeah, you ought to run that down and see if there's not some. I mean, it's like Gray, Gray, Grey. You know, the British spell it one way, we spell it. So it may be the same thing with your name, but that's worth. You need to look that up. I am working on this whole thing of heritage. I want you to listen to this.
I'm listening.
There is a recent study that has just come out that says, "Tell me the number one way." You can build emotional health into your children.
Oh, I better write this down. The number one way.
The number one way. And listen, this is not just me coming. I'm not just dreaming this up.
Should I guess? Is this?
It's not all the hugs and kisses.
Okay,
that's
I was going to guess physical touch.
It's not. The school you put them in. It's not even the church that you go to. Number one way you can build emotional health into your child: heritage. Teach family history. Teach your children. Yes. Go read Tom. Oh, what's his name?
Got a lot of Googling going on today.
We've got a lot of. We will get to the scripture. Tim Elmore.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Tim Elmore quotes this study. I went and looked the study up.
All right.
And it's a very recent study. But they talk about the importance of building heritage into your children.
Well,
giving them a family history.
That used to be so natural.
Look at how two of the Gospels open up.
Correct.
With the lineage of Jesus.
Matthew and Luke, right.
You come to David. David comes when God goes to anoint him, and then God comes to him and says, listen, I'm going to build a dynasty out of you. Right. There will never fail to sit a son of David on the throne of Israel. Right. And David comes in and he says, who am I and what is my house? He knew his lineage. His father was Jesse. His grandfather was Obed. His great-grandfather was Boaz.
Boaz, right.
And Ruth. He knew the story of Boaz and Ruth.
Yes.
When he is being chased by Saul, what does he do? He takes his parents over to Moab and leaves them. Why? Because that's where his great-grandmother was from.
Right.
And there was that family connection.
Yes.
So anyway, how did we get off on that? But that's talking about heritage.
Right. Talking
about your heritage. So go back and look. You may be related to.
I'm going to remember that. Well, and that's I just a personal story. Like I know that's going to be really important because our middle daughter Harper is adopted, and like understanding where she's come from, even. There's a lot of history of like addiction and apostasy in my family. Even my great grandparents I think were all alcoholics, like this sort of thing. It's because my parents came out of that, and in some respects were sort of first generation believers. So I don't know.
What a great heritage! And if you don't know your heritage, if you don't know your past, there's no way you can live out a legacy and leave a legacy to your children.
Well, and I need to remember that just because it is such a tough situation that Harper's been adopted from. We went and saw that. It's so dumb now, but we went and saw the last Star Wars movie, the Episode 9. I can't even remember what it was called. The Sith. But the point, so and we can just go ahead and spoil it, but the main character, it's revealed that she's the daughter of the emperor, the bad emperor. Yeah. And she's like, well, I can't escape this. It's my destiny and that sort of thing. And somebody says to her, well, some things are stronger than blood. And I looked at my wife and I'm like, yeah, like another type of blood, the blood of Christ. And that's such
a good insight.
It was so encouraging to me, just thinking about that.
Well, it is. Look, and that's an important part of your heritage is look how God has brought us out, saved us, redeemed us from this. Yeah, so it's important. Teach your children family heritage. Live a legacy and leave a legacy to your children.
Well, let's leave a legacy of what Peter was talking about in chapter 2. Now you had to do a fairly extended intro, and I applaud you for this, helping people understand that when Peter is talking to the slaves there in Asia Minor, he's not talking to slaves in the sense that we think of them in the United States history.
I couldn't just jump in and say this is an employee. Well, no, it's a servant here.
Yeah.
Or depending on, if you're in the Christian Holman, it's household slaves. So I couldn't just jump from that into an employee. Let's look at it as an employee without giving you some background, because they were, in a sense, the word here gives us the sense that these are people that were employed, even though they were servants owned by they were employed, and they were paid something. They were professionals.
They could even own
there were
servants.
different types of, I don't know how you say this, of slavery, different types.
Hierarchy or something like that.
Yeah, there were different things.
Well, you did the important work, and I encourage everybody, if you haven't listened to the message, to do so, because Pastor went back through and completely debunked this myth that the Bible condones slavery.
Yeah.
It is completely erroneous. The slavery that was present in the United States of America pre the 1860s was abhorrent.
Now I have to say this in all honesty: there were preachers who would take certain texts and would do eisegesis, read into the text, and say this is biblical proof for our owning slaves. Now the texts do not say what they manipulate, and I've read some of those sermons.
Me
and
too.
by the way, one of the ones who very popular, I'm sad to say, because I went to Furman University, was Richard Furman,
Right.
of South Carolina. But he was very pro-slavery and would preach on, the biblical right to own slaves. But those messages were basically
Yeah, I mean, you can
isagogical.
Yeah, you can read them online, and you just feel dirty reading them, just because of the way that they're clearly reading like the culture of the day into the text, and it's the exact same thing that's happening now with regards to the sexual ethic, because that same thing is now being read into especially the New Testament text. It's very sad.
That's right. Baylor has just done that. With all the great theologians they have down there, they have just done the same thing.
Very, very, very sad. But anyway, fast forwarding, so this really is more a situation of even Peter is exhorting the Christians, even if you're in an unfair situation, grace needs to flow out of you regardless of what you receive. It's a cross-reference even to the first chapter when it's like, stand firm in the midst of trial.
Well, it's difficult. Nobody said this was easy. Peter doesn't say, hey, this is a snap, you won't have any trouble with it. He just states it. This is the way you're to respond. This situation you're in, this is the way. The good thing is that at least in our day, we can leave a job.
Right.
These people could not leave it.
Yeah.
They couldn't just say, you know what, I'm out of here. Forget this. I'm not going to take this. I'm gone. And so Peter writes them, and that's what he's saying. Look, you respond in this way. I know you can't walk away. I know you can't leave this situation, but this is how you respond.
Well, and he gives them encouragement through the example of Christ. I think that's the key. And I love the way you personify that, because you reminded us, hey, Peter was standing right there when they were spitting on Christ, when they were testifying falsely against Christ. And guess what Christ did? Yep. He did nothing. He only had grace and favor with the people that did that to him.
Listen to what he says on down in verse 3, chapter 3, because I'd started looking ahead.
Sure.
I've already preached the first 7 verses of chapter 3. But you come down in verse 14, he says, even if you should suffer for the sake of righteousness, you're blessed. Mm-hmm. Do not fear their intimidation. Do not be troubled. Sanctify Christ as Lord in your hearts, always being ready to make a defense to everyone who asks you to give an account.
That's huge.
Tell them why you're responding this way.
Right.
Sometimes when you respond in a gracious way to somebody's verbal attack, somebody's bitter anger at you, and you respond in a gracious way, it makes them even madder.
Heap burning coals upon their head.
It makes them even madder.
Yeah.
They get, and they want to know, why are you responding this way?
Right.
They can't understand why you don't lash back out at them. He said, use that opportunity give a defense to everyone who asks you for account of the hope that's in you. I've got hope in me.
So sort of a meta note, like, are you going to preach that text coming up?
I think so. I've not. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking ahead. I'll be in chapter 3 this Sunday, Lord willing, and probably picking up in verse 8.
Oh, okay. Great.
Because that starts a new pericope right there. I did chapter 3, 1 through 7 back at Valentine's.
That's
back in
right.
February.
That's right. So if you want to hear the messages sequentially, you need to go back and listen at. I think was Valentine's on a Sunday. It was the first couple messages there.
I think Valentine's was on a Sunday.
It's an interesting year. We got Valentine's on a Sunday. We got the 4th of July coming up on a Sunday.
On a Sunday. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, a couple more notes here. One, I couldn't help but think of your point about how Peter is thoroughly Jewish, because at the tail end of chapter 2 here, there's such an echo of Isaiah chapter 53, talking about the suffering servant. I mean, borderline quotes it there.
Right.
Where,
He is very much, influenced by the writing of Isaiah, because he quotes him a great deal.
Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting note. But then more practically, and I guess we should probably finish up here, I got the sense that, that all of us in the room were feeling this yesterday when you spoke very specifically to people that are in tough job situations right now. And I enjoyed, if I even texted you about this, I really enjoyed how you called out that really memorable scene in A Christmas Carol where Bob Cratchit, who's been persecuted by Mr. Scrooge for dozens of years, still raises a glass to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
I love the Muppets Christmas Carol.
That's my favorite one. I was hoping you'd say that.
When he goes in, he says, "Can we put one little piece of coal on the fire?" All the rats, and
I know what you're talking.
And Scrooge screams, and all of a sudden, you see all the little rats.
Heat wave,
having a heat wave. It is so good.
The Muppets
like the lamp, not the rat. Like the lamp, not the rat. That is the best.
It is so good.
It is the best.
This year's staff Christmas party, we're just going to have a viewing of the Muppet Christmas Carol. Yeah. That'll be really. I think I know all those songs by heart. Even the secret. There was the secret song that was only in the original VHS release. "The Love Is Gone." Do you remember that one? I think we were talking. No, Brody doesn't even know it. It's okay. I'll show it to you on YouTube. I sent Brody a text of like one of the worst Christian movies that I've ever. I need to show it to you. It's unbelievably poorly produced. I sent him this text last night. I'm just trying to get him to laugh about it. Did you figure out what that is yet?
No, I looked so hard.
Okay, we'll have to see if we can find that together. I'll show that to you.
The love is gone.
Afterward. But the point, like, so that's a fictional example of someone fulfilling what Peter is saying. Like, listen, it doesn't matter how poorly he's treated me. I still will give him grace. I still will bless him in my household. Yeah. Wow. So let that challenge you, you guys.
Dickens is so good. There's 1,001 illustrations in Dickens.
My dad's favorite is the
Expectations.
Well, no, it's of the Christmas Carol. There's more than 30 like film adaptations of A Christmas Carol.
I don't doubt it.
It's unbelievable.
I don't doubt it.
My dad's favorite, he would have us watch it every year, was the Alastair Sim. It's the one that came out in 1951. I'm sure that you've seen it. It's black and white.
I do, and I'm gonna tell you something, and you're gonna laugh at me and say you do not. I do have a pretty good memory.
Yes, you don't
I
know. You have a
remember.
photographic memory.
You're not gonna believe this, but I remember seeing that as just a toddler.
Really?
I can remember seeing a scene or two out of it as a toddler.
I believe you. Because that movies weren't on TV at that point, right? They would come back in the theater every year, and you'd have to go and see them, right?
No, it was on television.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
It was on TV. These were the very early days. You don't remember this. You had these huge cabinets, and you had a screen about that size.
Yeah, about the size of a. Yeah, it's like 8-inch screen. It's a massive piece of furniture.
Yeah, but I remember seeing that a scene. I can in my mind see in black and white Scrooge in that white nightcap.
Yes.
And that gown.
Well,
that's all I can remember is I can just see him, and he's talking to somebody, one of the spirits, I guess.
It's such great acting and he does the transition to like the joyfulness at the end, and it's so complete. At one point, he like stands on his head, and Miss Gilbert runs away because she thinks he's completely mad. Miss Dilber, not Gilbert. Sorry, I don't want people to hit us up in the comments. But anyway, I think that's everything, Pastor. This has been fun.
It has been.
You seem like you're
It's
feeling good
fast.
today.
I do. I feel really well.
You're all done with this dissertation now,
No,
right? So
I am not. See, there it goes. Just stick the pin in the balloon right there. Pop it. There goes the day.
Oh boy. Well, I cheer you. Here, this will cheer you up. We get to go to another meeting in like 30
All right.
minutes.
Give the karate kick.
Okay, yes. All right. We'll see you guys later. See you on the YouTubes, on the interwebs. Have a good day. Say hi to Penis if you see him. You don't know what he looks like yet, but.
One of